From rumors on whether or not Cejudo is just coming back for the money to some unfinished business with TJ Dillashaw, which helped cement his legacy, here's a look at why Henry Cejudo really came out of retirement. First up, is money the main reason for Cejudo coming out of retirement?
I've been called some nasty things in my life, and I'm sick of it. I've been called a gold digger. I've been called the son of a gold.
When Henry Cejudo first decided to hang up his gloves, he went out with a bang.
I actually kind of want to make an announcement, man. Uncle Dana, UFC, Joe, I'm happy with my career. I've done enough in the sport. I want to walk away. I want to enjoy myself. I'm 33 years old.
The man was a decorated fighter and champion, and everybody loved the dude and respected him. But since then, he's decided to return to the octagon once again.
So why is Triple C coming back? Why is Henry Cejudo coming back? That's a question for me. It's a question for a lot of you guys.
Making this the second time he's come out of retirement. So you've got to wonder, what could have motivated someone like Cejudo to once again step outside the comfort of his home? He did what he had to do back then, but there doesn't seem to be any reason for him to start fighting again, does it? Well, folks, in case you've forgotten, money can be a huge motivator for many people, especially those whose coffers are about to run dry. Now, I'm not saying that Henry Cejudo is about to go broke. All I'm saying is that he might not be the wealthiest retired fighter around right now. And with a family to feed, well, I guess the YouTube channel isn't doing as well as he'd hoped. Still, the man is a legend, so who knows how things will go once he decides to step back into the octagon. Also, there could be another reason why Cejudo has decided to make a comeback, which could be the fact that he's just bored of sitting around on a couch all day. Look, I'm all for retirement, but it's just not as awesome as the internet makes it seem. Sure, there's the fact that you get to chill all day without any consequences, but even that gets boring fast. Fortunately for us, Cejudo made a better choice and decided to return to his favorite sport instead. Instead of spending the rest of his days breaking down every fighter out there, he probably decided to try his hand at winning another title. One thing's for sure, and that's the fact that if Cejudo does end up winning another title, well, he'll be making history, and that too, a record that won't be broken anytime soon. I, for one, can't wait to see what he can bring to the table. He is, after all, one of the best fighters to have ever done it. Though before we all begin to sing his praises, there's one factor that we all need to consider, and that's the fact that he hasn't fought professionally since 2020. The last time we saw Cejudo fight was when he defended his title against Dominic Cruz, and that was well over 3 years ago. It's also important to note that he came out of retirement for that championship run as well. Regardless, it's been 3 whole years since he's been in the octagon, and that's sure to affect him when he finally steps inside the cage once again. Still, this is Henry Cejudo we're talking about. The man is a beast when it comes to defying everyone's expectations. There's no telling what'll end up happening once he does come back. All we know right now is that he's planning to go on another championship run. Whether he'll be successful or not the 3rd time around, well, that's a different story entirely. After seeing how Ben Askren fared against Jake Paul, I don't have any high hopes for Cejudo. But for the sake of the legacy he's managed to carve out, fans are willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. Anyway, before we go on talking about his eventual return, let's talk a bit about how he got started in the sport in the first place. For that, we'll have to take a long trip down memory lane, all the way back to the start. All right, calm down. I'm not going to take you guys straight back to the hospital room where the man was born. We're simply going to revisit his college days and try to figure out where he got the passion for MMA. Back in the old days, Cejudo was an elite-level high school wrestler. The man had managed to win 4 state-level championships and was destroying everyone left and right. There wasn't anyone out there who could step up to this kid. He went on to prove as much when he ended up winning Olympic gold in 2008 in freestyle wrestling. Here, he also became the youngest American to achieve that honor. So it's safe to say that this man was breaking records before even considering MMA as a career path. However, once it came time to re-enter the World Games 4 years later, Cejudo wasn't able to make the cut. At that point, he threw his shoes into the crowd, signaling that he was leaving the sport of wrestling behind. It wasn't soon after that he got into MMA, which is where our story truly begins. And man, I have to say, it's been one hell of a ride so far. Cejudo has always been a fast learner, so it didn't take him long before he caught the eyes of both the UFC and WWE. I know, this man is a total enigma. He manages to do the impossible through sheer determination and will. After winning just 6 fights, Cejudo was offered both a UFC and the option of signing with the WWE. Unsurprisingly, he decided to go with the UFC, though it did get the MMA world buzzing with excitement as everybody was excited to see what Cejudo would bring to the table. So far, the journey has been awesome, which is why everyone is hyped for his eventual return. We're all pretty excited to see what Cejudo will manage to do when he finally comes back to the UFC. Since this isn't the first time he's come out of retirement, people are expecting some pretty awesome things from the guy. He's shown that he's not someone to be taken lightly in the past, so there's a good chance that he'll come back and end up wowing us all. He's certainly set a standard for himself in the UFC, so we're going to expect nothing less than excellence from the man when he eventually signs up for a fight. Since it hasn't been very long since he announced his return, there aren't any potential opponents that come to mind for Cejudo. However, since he's already made it clear that he's coming back to win a 3rd championship, we already know what his end goal is going to be. Now, it's just a matter of waiting to see how long it takes him to get there. If we look at how he's done in the past, it shouldn't take too long. Remember, Henry is one of the coolest fighters out there. There have been many moments where Cejudo has managed to blow our minds. Just for the heck of it, like that time when he knocked out 2 world champions in 2 straight bouts.
On Cejudo. Oh, big knee from Cejudo.
Oh, he's hurt
Gotta
bad.
fight back. That is it. And still, Henry Cejudo from
That's it.
Cejudo.
Oh man, I thought the referee was gonna stop it.
Oh,
He is.
That's
That's
it. Get him a second belt.
Wow.
Henry Cejudo is the UFC Bantamweight champion.
I'm telling you, Cejudo has always been a menace to everyone in his division. This was one of the greatest moments in MMA history when it happened. Henry Cejudo had already lost to Demetrius Johnson once, so when he finally managed to dethrone him for the flyweight belt, everyone was ecstatic. Still, there was another fighter on the UFC roster who didn't take too kindly to the whole thing. Of course, I'm talking about none other than TJ Dillashaw. The man was ready to take down Cejudo and destroy his legacy, so much so that he jumped down an entire weight class to do so. However, no one could have expected what happened next. Cejudo might just be one of the only MMA fighters in history who managed to get a fairy tale ending to their story. He went on to make history by knocking out TJ Dillashaw in less than 38 seconds in the 1st round. This was only the 2nd time such a thing had happened to TJ.
Hey, I would love to get beat. Hey, congrats to Henry Cejudo. Good job, but you didn't beat me.
Well, hopefully we'll see a rematch at 135 pounds. Thanks.
So to say that he was shocked is a huge understatement. It's moments like these that make us fall in love with this sport. No one could have predicted what ended up happening, and who knows, it might happen again. That's all on why Henry Cejudo really came out of retirement.